going on, everybody in Wrestling Review Society's YouTube page and twitch.tv/HeelKevin. It is Thursday. It is 7 p.m., which means it is time for another pro wrestling interview. And if you guys were a part of my Twitch stream on Tuesday, you already know who's here. You guys have been begging for this interview ever since you saw that absolutely brutal hardcore match at RPW's Red Rum event. And I am looking forward to sitting down and talking with this guy. I've wanted to have him on the show for a while, and he is one half of my absolute favorite independent tag team. And that's a shoot, guys. I said it last week with his partner, Wheezy T. The Gifted is my absolute favorite independent tag team. But let me go and plug some sponsors, pay some bills, and then get my guest on here, guys. First of which being A-Rock Designs. This is my wife's custom business. She makes all those cool cups you see floating around, whether it be wrestling related, non-wrestling related, like this MRE cup I'm using. Absolutely love it, guys. Keeps your hot drinks hot, your cold drinks cold. Perfect all year round. Make sure you go to A-Rock Designs on Facebook or arockdesigns.com and place your orders today. Also, guys, storefrontier.com/wrestling review society for all of our amazing merch, like my Assholes Ruining Wrestling shirt. Absolutely love this shirt. If you want to get your hands on any of our merchandise, shirts, hoodies, baby onesies, kid shirts, female shirts, whatever you want, storefrontier.com/wrestling review society to score all of your WRS merch today. And lastly, guys, if you're watching on our YouTube channel, join our Twitch community. We provide Twitch exclusive content, and it's really where the show is going. Sooner or later, we will stop airing on YouTube, and it'll just be on Twitch. So if you're not already on our Twitch account, hashtag switch to Twitch and join the Twitch family at twitch.tv/HeelKevin. With that being said, guys, that is enough about me. I want to get my guest on here. I see about 7 comments already popping up for this incredible talent. So I don't want to waste any more of your guys' time. Let's go and get him in here. Ladies and gentlemen, one half of the Gifted, Mr. Logan Cruz. Logan, you got to turn your mic on, bud.
Hello.
Why are you making out with the camera?
Because I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here, man. I truly meant what I said. The Gifted is my app. Like, obviously, Zach and I are really good friends. So Zach and Ryzen, Satanic Panic, great tag team. But I truly am a fan of the Gifted, man. I absolutely love your guys' tag team.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot.
So I have to ask you right off the bat, man, while we're talking about the Gifted, was tag team always the direction you wanted to go, or did you ever have singles aspirations, or was it always, it's me, it's Wheezy, we're doing this together?
Well, here's the thing. Me and Wheezy actually had no idea. Like, we didn't know each other before wrestling, so we had no real intention of being a tag team. And I actually got a funny story about that. I'll tell you later. But we actually became a tag team because we had a memorial show for another student of ours who unfortunately passed away. Mm-hmm. And Jay Lethal and David Mercury pulled 2 guys from the newer class, which was mine and Wheezy's class. And they threw us in a tag match, sort of as like a student showcase. And that night was the first time Wheezy and I ever tagged together. And after that, we were like, this works. And we actually didn't have a tag name for probably 2-3 months because it was so last minute and thrown together. So, but it ended up working out. We had really good chemistry in the ring, and we got really close with one another. So we just went from there. But we still do, like, you'll see me doing single stuff, you'll see Wheezy doing single stuff, but It's always Logan Cruz representing the Gifted or Wheezy T representing the Gifted. So we're very supportive of our singles endeavors, but it's always going to come back to the heart of the tag team.
Oh, no, absolutely. In this last Real Pro Wrestling event, we saw both of you in singles action. You were going for the Hardcore Championship match or the Hardcore Championship. And, I got to say, like I said, Zach's my boy. I love the man to death. But I firmly believe that match of the night went to Wheezy and Kelsey. And that's coming from a guy who's not a fan of intergender wrestling. And a very close second was you and Bud. You and Bud told a fantastic story in the middle of that ring. And I want to get into all of that. We kind of hinted at it when I surprised you with a phone call while we were live on Twitch. But guys, if you have any questions for Logan, please send those through in the comments section. We will address them as soon as we get, or whenever we find the time to do it. But we will address all the questions you guys ask. But going into that, you talked about you and Wheezy tagging for the first time. And last week, Wheezy said that you guys had faced your trainers. Was that the match you were referring to?
Yeah, that was our very first match.
So I have to ask you, because Wheezy tells this really funny story about walking into that match, and he's supposed to cut this promo. He's supposed to start it off, and he just starts unrelentlessly coughing, and he hands you the microphone, and then he says you just owned it on the microphone, man. First off, how nervous were you going into it, knowing that Wheezy was going to cut the promo, and then the last minute switch where now all the lights are on you, the pressure's on you, everybody's watching you. How do you find the courage to pull out a promo when you weren't even supposed to talk, especially against your trainers?
Well, this was pre Tongue of Silver days, so this was I don't think anybody knew that I like to talk. So when he handed me the microphone because he started having a coughing fit, I was like, "Oh, I've been ready for this since the day."
He said,
me. "Oh yeah, yeah." I was like, "Oh, okay, all right, cool." But that was also when we found out that Wheezy doesn't really like doing promos. So ever since then, that's kind of been the trend where he starts and then hands it off to me. So, but yeah, I was from the day I stepped into training, I was ready for that promo. So
that is the definition of work yourself into a shoot.
Oh yeah.
That's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
I can only imagine, like I said, I can only imagine sitting there, you're facing against your trainer, and then all that happens. It's like Marshall's Law, or not Marshall. Is it martial law? No, not martial law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, the law of chaos theory or something. Yeah.
Either way, it's the definition of that shit.
I'm not a scientist. I'm a wrestler.
Yeah, me either. I just showed how not smart I am on this show. I are not smart, Logan.
Me not smart either.
But you know, everybody that's watching really, really gravitated towards you during your match with Bud Heavy, the Hardcore Championship. And guys, I know we have a lot of questions about those coming in. We're going to get to all of those as we progress on in the interview, but I want to talk to you about the Hands of Stone and the Tongue of Silver. Where'd that moniker come from? How'd you come up with it? And because I feel like one of the hardest things to do in wrestling, aside from the in-ring stuff, is come up with a moniker that defines who you are. So how did you come up with that, and why Hands of Stone, Tongue of Silver?
Well, obviously Hands of Stone, just because I have a boxing background prior to wrestling. That was what I did for a little bit. I was a boxer.
No kidding.
So when people say Hands of Stone, a lot of wrestling fans think of Ronnie Garvin, but it actually began with Roberto Duran in boxing, and he's one of my idols. So definitely respect to the both of them with coming up with that. But also I got, not to toot my own horn, but I got a mean ass right hook. So that's and that's the great equalizer for me. And as far as the Tongue of Silver, that's really where I think I shine, is getting into people's heads and ripping them apart with words, and being able to tell a story with my and articulate things well to the audience, not just with my words but with my actions as well. Oh
no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think one of the things that you do very well, and I'm going back to the promo you shot on Bud Heavy going into the hardcore match, was it's not just what you say in your promos, it's the stage that you set, the setting that you put yourself in, and like the whole setting you had when you shot that promo on Bud Heavy really drew me into it, really made me believe what you were saying. And like I said, it wasn't just what you were talking, it wasn't just what you were saying, but it was your surroundings and the scenery that you were in. Do you feel that's a big miss, or a ball often missed by some wrestlers, is they tend to focus on what they're saying and they don't really focus on the scenery and setting the mood for the promo to hit as hard as it does? Do you think a lot of people overlook that side of the storytelling?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Like you see a lot of guys, and it's real ironic that I'm about to say this, but like these guys doing the front seat car promos, or yeah, like as I am right now, but or like just in their living room with the the paintings that their mom did and cookies on the table, and they're talking about kicking some guy's ass, and it's like, yeah, you got the cool words, but like, I don't believe it. I don't believe what you're saying because you got the Princess Diary on the TV in the background right now. So I don't. I think there's a lot of really good talkers, but it's about more than coming up with these quips that you can throw at your opponent, because anyone can do that. It's about how you say it, where you say it. There's so many different factors that go into cutting a promo, and I think that is something that a lot of guys miss the boat on. And something I'm not perfect at it. I'm still trying to figure it out myself. But I take a lot of pride in my promos, and I put a lot of meticulous thought process and detail. And if I do have to cut a promo where I'm in my living room because of whatever circumstance, I do my best to make that make sense in terms of the promo. I'm not going to cut this scathing promo where my cat is sitting on my shoulder in the background. It's going to be a little bit more lighthearted. It has to make sense for where you are as well.
Oh no, absolutely, and I couldn't agree with you more. You said it best. You can't shoot a promo talking about how you're going to end this person's career, and then mommy brings you your paper sack lunch and hands it to you. It's not believable. And when I saw yours, it really stood out to me because, like I said, from the scenery, from the verbiage you used, I was a fan of all of it, and it really drew me in for the match. We have a comment coming in from one of our viewers named Cole Kendall. Says, Logan, have you ever been a part of any angle or work that you didn't want to be in, but were forced to do it anyways?
Okay, so forced is a strong word.
Very strong.
Yeah,
let's say encouraged.
I'm a grown-ass man. Yeah, I'm a grown-ass man, and if I don't want to do something, I'm not going to do it. But that being said, there are certain things that I felt weren't the best of circumstances, but I did out of respect and out of, respect for the business, respect for whoever it may be, even though I didn't think it was the right direction to go in. You still do it. You still, and you make the best of it. Yeah. There's been a couple matches where Weezy and I have been feuding with, or not feuding because you can't feud with people who aren't a team, but, we'll be booked for these matches with these guys who are just two singles competitors put together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, this is all well and good, and we'll do our best and we'll have a good match. But then if they're asking us to make them look like the stronger tag team, or we're trying to tell the story that...
I hate that.
It's like, man, we work our asses off. We're in the gym 4 nights a week working on tag stuff, and then you have these two guys who aren't a tag team. It's like, and you think that they can beat us at tag wrestling? Like, okay, and you do your best and you do it with a smile on your face, but definitely there have been some situations where I'm like, I'd rather not be doing this, but out of respect, I am.
Like, Tom Brady's not going to go out 3-point Steph Curry. It's just not going to happen.
Right, yeah, exactly. And if you asked Steph Curry to then acknowledge Tom Brady as a great basketball player, it's like, it's an insult to him,
No, absolutely. I could not agree more. And anybody who's watched my Twitch streams before, they know that I feel very much the same way. And we're going to get into tag team wrestling and everything, but I have a question here from one of our viewers that I kind of would like to know the answer to as well. So have you and Weezy ever gotten into a disagreement over your tag career?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I beat his ass in a parking lot at 3 a.m. one time and made him cry. He'll deny it.
Just
until the
tell
day
us
he
how
dies.
you really feel, Logan.
We've always seen eye to eye with the fact that we want the gifted to go far, and we want to be successful in our tag career. But there have been moments where, maybe I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. Maybe just on a more personal level, we kind of butt heads. So we went through a period when, like I said, we weren't really thinking about being a tag team until it happened. So that being said, there was a really big learning curve with the two of us when we first started wrestling, and me and him didn't always see eye to eye, and our personalities sort of clashed. it really took us having to sit down and talk to each other and kind of figure out like, hey, if we really did have a little kumbaya therapy session where we're like, this is how you make me feel when you say this, and this is how you make me feel when you do that. But nothing serious, like nothing that's ever jeopardized the tag team. But yeah, no, it just now we're closer. We're thick as thieves. We're brothers now. I would take a bullet
No,
for
I
that
can
kid.
tell.
Yeah. But it wasn't always that way, and it took going through some rough times to get there. And I think that's where a lot of tag teams fall apart. You'll see guys come onto the scene and they'll be in a tag team for a couple of months, but once that honeymoon phase is over, they kind of sit back and they're like, maybe I don't want to be with this guy, or they hit one minor inconvenience and all of a sudden they're like, no, this isn't working. But if you really are dedicated to the tag team and you want to make it work, then you push through it. And that's what me and Wheezy did, because we do work really, really well together.
No, absolutely. Like I said, Logan, I'm being dead serious. The Gifted is my favorite tag team I've seen on the independent scene in such a long time. Dustin and Ashlock, I see both your questions, but while Logan is on this topic, I want to go and ask this. You talk about sitting down and really hashing things out with Wheezy, whether it be, big, small, or indifferent, doesn't matter. Any issue that happens, you guys take it to the table and you talk it out. For a tag team to be successful, how detrimental is that line of communication, and how important is it to always have that communication open with each other?
Oh, it's absolutely vital, because we're always, when a promoter reaches out to us, it's very rare that they put us in a group chat and reach out to us at the same time. It's always one or the other. So if you're not communicating and you're not talking about, whether it's for a booking or whether it's feedback from other wrestlers or whatever it is, if you're not communicating that to your partner, then only one of you is improving. Only one of you is in the know. Only one of you is in the loop, and the other one's going to have to play catch up, and that can lead to not only sloppy tag work because you're not on the same page, but also a little bit of resentment, because it's like, okay, well, I'm not your Virgil. Like, we're a team. We're not, you need to tell me these things. It's 50-50. It's not, I'm not your sidekick. So you have to communicate. And Wheezy and I, we communicate very well, and then we won't communicate at all because we're both really bad at texting each other back. So we'll go through like 3 or 4 days where we just, I'll send him a message, and then the next day he'll reply, and then I'll forget to reply to him. But then we'll end up calling each other assholes and being like, why aren't you fucking replying? And then we're like, well, you weren't replying to me. But it always ends up getting there in the end. And that's just our dynamic. We've never gone like a period where we have ourselves in a situation. It always sorts itself out before it gets too bad. But yeah, and then especially like at training and stuff like that, you have to communicate and not be afraid to tell your partner, hey, I don't think this works. I think we should do this instead. And then two minds are better than one, and you always find that middle ground. And I think that's a big part of being a good tag team.
I think that's where a lot of people, not just in wrestling, but in general, whenever you have business partners or tag partners or anything like that, they have this, like, let's just say me and you were partners in a company, and you were doing something that I didn't like, or you were going in a direction that I thought wasn't the best. Everybody is always afraid to bring it up out of fear of rehash or resentment or whatever the case may be. And right. I just, you can clearly tell in the ring who has that communication and who doesn't, who has that chemistry and who doesn't. There are, and I'm not gonna mention any names because I don't want to offend anybody, but out of my time in Real Pro, I've seen 2 tag teams, only 2, that to me anyway have that kind of chemistry, and you guys are definitely one of them. And I want to get into the psychology of tag team wrestling versus singles wrestling as a guy who does both very well. I think your feedback and your input and your answers are going to be very valued when it comes to this, because we have a lot of people in the comments section who are planning to attend wrestling school or want to join the business in some way, shape, or form. But just before we get to those, we have a few other questions in the comments section. One from Face Dustin says, will we ever see Logan versus Kelsey?
Oh, I'll beat her ass. I'll beat the shit out of her.
Jesus, Logan.
I'm the Baron of beating bitches. I don't give a fuck. Am I allowed to cuss on this? We never determined that.
Oh no, you can say whatever you want. Fuck, shit, damn. Let's go.
All right, cool. Yeah, no.
Dude, the name War Room is a tribute to my time in law enforcement and the military. You think we hold our tongues?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no, I'll face Kelsey. I mean, it's not going to be a 50-50 like it was with Wheezy. I'm going to pick her up, I'm going to power bomb her on her neck, and I'm going to pin her. That's how it works.
I mean, there we go. I mean, it's a pretty solid game plan, Logan. Pretty solid game plan. Moving on to the next question from Ashlock209 says, who came up with the tag team name The Gifted?
Okay, so I don't want to give away the magic here. Like I said, Wheezy and I didn't have a tag name. We were gonna be As Madness. We were gonna be Brass Lungs, and there was one other one, but
You were not gonna be Brass Lungs with a guy with asthma.
Yeah, we were. I was the brass. He was the lungs. He was. So Wheezy used to be one of those in like the YouTube Call of Duty quickscope montage guys, and his clan name was actually The Gifted. So he had all of the graphics already made, and he was lazy, and he's like, hey, do you just want to use this name so that I don't have to make any more graphics, because I don't do any of that stuff. And I was like, yeah, fuck it, fine, we'll come up with a different name and we'll change it down the line. And then so we started using it just out of convenience, and everyone was like, oh yeah, it makes sense because you guys are like the gifted ones in the class, and like, you know, you're not like his asthma, it's not a drawback, it's a gift, and blah, blah, all this stuff. And we're like, yeah, sure, that's exactly why we chose that name, sure. And it just kind of stuck, and now it's a part of us. But it was sheer coincidence that we came up with that, or that we used that name.
So moving into the psychology of tag wrestling, and just staying on that on the topic of Wheezy's asthma, this was something he was very open about last week, and I asked him very much the same question. Has there ever been a time in your guys' tag match, or a match where you were like, I know at Red Rum you ran out, brought the inhaler, but that was more for the show of things. But was there ever a time where you guys are in the middle of a ring and you really thought he was in trouble with his asthma?
Oh no, never. I've seen him get blown up, but never more than just like, you know, like a normal wrestler would after running a really intense spot. Never once has it come to a point where I'm like, oh my God, he needs to take a break. Like we need to call an audible. No, I'm pretty sure he doesn't even really have asthma. I don't know.
I would believe it. I mean, the kid dances on the ropes. It's ridiculous. But we have a question coming in from Prince Primal, and he says, what is some advice you would give someone a month into wrestling school?
Go to the gym. A lot of guys come into it and they think, oh, just going to class is going to be good, but and that is fine, but you also need to go to the gym. You need to work on your cardio. You need to build muscle. Not just for aesthetic purposes, but to protect yourself and to expand your abilities in the ring. That should be a no-brainer. My coach Jay used to tell us, everybody shits. Every time you go to the bathroom, you should be watching wrestling. You should be watching wrestling for at least 30 minutes every day, and not just, you know, as a fan anymore, but, you know, seeing the movement, seeing how they structure their match, how it flows, things like that. So just keep watching wrestling, keep working out, and anytime that you get to see anybody wrestle, especially if they've been in it longer for you and on the indies, take note. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And really, that, other than just sticking with it, that's the best you can do.
I would add to that. Not that there was anything wrong with your answer, but I would add to that. Never stop learning. Don't act like you know everything. You're never going to know everything there is to know. And the second you think you do, you become a danger to everybody else around you. Mm-hmm. Never stop learning. Always try to take something from somebody. There's a learning experience no matter what you do, whether it's something someone does that you hope you never do or something that you want to incorporate one day. Never stop learning, and don't ever think you know everything, because the second you think you know everything, You just need to leave. And that's not my answer. That's an answer from Iceberg NWA Hall of Famer. I asked him the exact same question on the show. But I'm sorry. I wanted to add that in there because I think it's very important in a lot more aspects of life than just wrestling. But with a guy like you, somebody who does the single stuff like we saw with Bud Heavy, but you're a tag team specialist. Obviously, there are obvious differences between the psychology of tag and singles wrestling. But what do you think are some of the things that go into tag wrestling that, like you said, these pieced together tag teams, they don't understand? How is the psychology different between tag versus single?
So I think a big misconception, I think there's two kinds of tag teams. There's the tag teams that you have that are the newer guys who are just coming out of training and they're tagging with people to sort of supplement their weaknesses. And there's nothing wrong with that. But as you grow as a tag team and as you grow as a wrestler, you need to realize you're not cutting the workload in half. You're doubling it. You can't go into this mindset of a tag match where you're trying to structure it like it would be a singles match, but just with double the amount of people. So you can do half as much stuff. You shouldn't be spamming your crap, but also you need to realize that you're two pieces of a whole, but you both have an individual role in it. So you need to make sure that every spot makes sense in terms of a tag team. Just because a spot works in a singles match doesn't mean that it would work in a tag team, because now there's these two other variables that you need to account for. You have to be a lot more mindful of where your opponent is in the ring. You have to make sure that, just because your partner's in the ring, that you can stop selling whatever it is that happened to you when you were in there. There's so many different moving pieces that you need to make sure you're not getting lazy just because you have somebody else to kind of be in there while you catch your breath, But I honestly enjoy having tag matches more because there's so many more things that you can do. The more people you have in there, sometimes it can get muddy if you have like 5-on-5s I don't like doing. But regular tag, there's so many fun things that you can do that you couldn't do in a normal singles match.
No, absolutely. And I would definitely agree with you. I think one of the biggest things is that, when it comes to tag team wrestling, it's no longer about just getting you over. It's about getting the team over. And there's a lot more that goes into that than what lies on the surface. There's a lot more that goes into that than what people think. Like you said, you and Weezy are together 4 nights a week. You have the psychology down, the communication. You guys train together. How long did it take for you guys to establish that kind of relationship? Because I imagine, day one debuting, you guys weren't as in sync as you are now. How long did it take you guys to really get on the same page with each other?
It probably took us a good half a year of working shows. So probably like 30 matches in is when I think things really started to click, because we were fortunate enough to have guys who were looking out for us, and they would pull us into their promotions, guys who were more experienced. So we learned from these already established tag teams, and I think that was a big part of it. But it took us a little bit to because we had our tag moves, but we very much so looked like two singles wrestlers, on a tag team. But now if you watch our tag stuff versus our single stuff, you'll notice that some of the moves that we do, we still do just without the other person. Like there's we have one sequence that's a back drop kick into a tornado DDT from Wheezy. I still do the back drop kick in my singles matches, and he still does the tornado DDT. So when we get together, it's just like two pieces of the puzzle coming together. So it took us a while to get there and realize that we can still have things that make us unique, but then find a good way to integrate them with one another.
No, and I think one of the biggest things is the timing of it all.
Oh, definitely.
That's one of the biggest things you can tell with an established tag team as opposed to somebody who's just been pieced together. It looks very much like that, like cut, paste, put together. But when it's an established tag team, it flows so effortlessly. The timing is perfect. And like I said, there's only two teams, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, there's only 2 teams in Real Pro that do it right now, and I love watching it come together. One more final tag team question. I don't want to get into you and your journey through pro wrestling, the areas that we haven't covered already. But, for the longest time, up until about 2 years ago, the big times for wrestling was WWE, and that was it. And 2 things that we know WWE doesn't give a shit about: tag team wrestling and women wrestling. They just don't care. But now we have the birth of companies like AEW. We have AAA. We have Lucha Underground coming back, and all these other promotions that are really shining a spotlight on tag team wrestling. Being a tag team wrestler on the independent scene, how does it feel knowing that the grind that you put all the effort into in tag team wrestling is finally getting the spotlight that it so desperately deserves?
Oh, it's awesome. It's you don't have to look at tag team wrestling as a means to an end anymore. I think there were a lot of guys who were doing tag wrestling to get themselves over because they know that they could only make it as a single star. Now there's a good chance that Weezy and I could get signed or go somewhere as a tag team. It doesn't have to be, using the team as a way to enhance yourself. We can go and do our gifted act at all of these major promotions and have it be appreciated for what it is, and go and face other great tag teams who know what they're doing and love tag team wrestling. And that's an incredible feeling. And it's a huge relief off your shoulders too, especially because we came in at a time where that wasn't the case. So it was like, how long is this going to last? Like, are we just delaying the inevitable where we break up? But now it's like, no, we can do this for as long as we want to, because there are places that we can continue to grow and continue to do it. So it's an awesome feeling.
I love it. I think tag team wrestling, when done right, it's not to steal a page out of Jeff Hardy's book, but it's literally poetry in motion. When all the pieces click and everything's moving together, it's a beautiful car accident that you just can't take your eyes off of. Before we get into your singles career and what got you into pro wrestling, there is a very interesting question from Cole Kendall. And he says, with how wrestling has been throughout the years, where the world title is always the most prestigious and the mid-card titles drag behind them, do you believe a mid-card title such as the US IC Hardcore should be put above the world title as far as prestige based on how they're represented?
Well, I think what you'll notice a lot in the I like to have the mindset that whatever title I'm holding or whatever I'm vying for, that's the most prestigious title.
That's the best title on the card.
That's the best one on the card. And I put my matches together in such a way that I try and show that. So when Weezy and I defend our tag team championships, to us, that's the main event. Those are the belts that people came to see, even if we're opening and the heavyweight championship is on the line at the end of the night. So it's all about what you make of it and how you present it to the crowd. But also, I think what you'll notice is a lot of smaller promotions, the mid-card belts and the heavyweight belts are sort of diametrically opposed. So the heavyweight is usually tenure over talent, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. It's the guys who are like, oh, I've been doing this a long time. I'm in the heavyweight picture scene. But then you go down to the mid-card belt and you see these guys who have something to prove, who are working their asses off. And they're like, I'm going to make this into something. Just like how the IC title was seen as the workhorse belt for a little bit. And the World Heavyweight Championship was seen, that's where all the drama was. Those are the guys who had been, who they saw as marketable, but the better matches were coming from lower on the card. And I think that reflects on the indie scene as well. So I think it really depends on what you make of it and what you want out of your wrestling.
Zach Monstar says, Logan, you're a beautiful son of a bitch.
I love you, Zachy.
To kind of go off of what you were saying, I definitely agree. I've always believed that the champion makes the title doesn't make the champion. And it's like you said, when you have these certain promotions, and I'm not going to name any out of respect, because, assholes ruin wrestling. But anyway, you have these gassed out vets, not even vets, but TV names who haven't really been relevant in so long, but they're surrounding the title picture. But then you have guys like Zach, or let's take my friendship with Zach out of it. Fucking Remy. a guy as talented as Remy isn't even in the mid-card title picture. There's a problem there.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep,
anyway, that's just my rant. He says, I'm so damn proud of you, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Zachy.
So we kind of put the cart before the horse on this. But, you know, with having your match with Bud Heavy, which we're still going to break that down coming up a little bit later. And then we got into your tag because Wheezy was on here and they've been dying to hear about it. But let's talk about you for a second. What was it about pro wrestling that stood out to you and grabbed your attention? You said you were a boxer beforehand. Was it boxing and then transition to wrestling, or what came first and what piqued your interest about each sport?
Well, boxing came first just by a little bit. Wasn't really anything serious. It was just like a something to do during the summer. But I fell in love with that pretty quick because, you know, I love getting my hands on things. I had grown up fighting. You know, my dad grew up in the Bronx, New York. So, you know, we were always play fighting and scrapping, and he taught me how to hold my own. So being able to transition that into something that really is, it's a chess game. It's just as much mental as it is physical. So I loved that. And then you take that aspect of, you know, physicality and competition, and then you mix it with this beautiful form of storytelling. And I think that's what really got me hooked on wrestling. I really do think it is the storytelling aspect that got me hooked on wrestling. I came in sort of late. I was probably like, God, 7 or 8, maybe 9 years old. It was right after WrestleMania 23. And I remember the first one I ever saw was the build for the Backlash Fatal 4-Way between John Cena, Edge, Randy Orton, and Shawn. Yep. And I remember
one of my favorite finishes ever.
Oh, so good, with Cena collapsing
with the super Edge kick and then fall. Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. And so not only was the build to that, like the just being wrapped up in the story and all these different moving pieces, but then watching that match, it's like, oh my God, you can do some incredible things in this. So from then on, I got hooked, and then I started, you know, and then YouTube became more prominent. So you could go and look at matches from back in the day, and you could, you know, then the WWE Network came around, and it just blew out of proportion. And I fell in love with it. And it wasn't just the blatant storytelling either. It was, you know, how you tell a story within the match. Like Dean Malenko is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. The way that he could, without using words, constructs this incredible story in the matter of 15 minutes. It blew my mind, and I knew I wanted to do it right from there.
Oh no, and it's Dean Malenko was always one of the best, in my opinion, one of the true workhorses of the business. I see that last question that was asked. I'm definitely going to ask it, but I feel like there's a very appropriate time to ask it. So I'm going to wait just 1 second before we do. But let's get into where all these people watching seen you, got to know you, fell in love with you because they fucking hate Bud Heavy. The hardcore match. Real Pro Wrestling Red Rum. Before we get into the actual match itself, did you consider yourself to be a hardcore wrestler, or was this completely out of your element?
Not completely out of my element. I've had street fights, and I've never lost a street fight before. So I thought that was going to translate pretty well.
I mean, hands of stone, man.
Hands of stone. It was a whole different ball game. And you know, that's sort of the story we told too, was, you know, this was my first hardcore match. And you know, it was just me trying to prove that I can hold my own, and that, you know, I'm as tough as I say I am. And but it was a whole different can of worms, I'll tell you. It was I thought I knew what I was getting into, and then I got there. I'm like, oh, I have no fucking idea what this is about.
Now, we've already established earlier in the show, you're a grown-ass man, okay? You're going to go out there, you're going to outwork anybody, and you really have that. You have this walk about you. The first time I saw you guys, very nervous ring announcer going around getting everybody's height and weight, and I saw you, and the best way I can describe it was if Real Pro Wrestling was a high school, you know, you're the star quarterback walking down the hallway, you're the jock of the locker room, and I expected you to be this dick, but you were so nice and a very genuine person, and I think that's why, you know, I true, like I said, Gifted's one of my favorite tag teams. I can't say it enough.
I'm gonna cry.
Like I said,
I'll cry right now.
we've already established you're a grown ass man, all that good shit. So not as far as Bud Heavy's concerned, but with all the elements that go into a hardcore match, with the crowd being there, with what they expected to see. Whenever you hear hardcore, you instantly think blood. You think edgy weapons, you know, stuff other than chairs. You guys had skewers. You guys had freaking records. Was this match at all intimidating to you? Not, like I said, not because of Bud, but because everything that the hardcore match entailed? I think we might be frozen. Looks like Logan may have dropped his phone. But guys, really quick, while he is getting reconnected, I just want to take a chance to thank everybody who is here. Zach, I see your comment, and once he comes back and answers this, I'm going to throw that up here and definitely get his opinion on it. But guys, once again, thank you for watching this episode of The War Room. We bring you pro wrestling interviews each and every single week. This week we have Logan Cruz with us live in The War Room. Once again, guys, like I mentioned at the beginning, a huge shout out to our amazing sponsors at A-Rock Designs. Guys, they make the most incredible custom tumblers you have ever seen in your entire life, whether it be wrestling related or non-wrestling related. Go to arockdesigns.com or A-Rock Designs on Facebook and order yours today. Logan's just dropped off to reset his camera. He should be back in just a few moments. Also, guys, if you're not a part of our Discord, I highly encourage that you do so. Our Discord is where we drop all of our streaming, all of our upcoming interviews, all of our belt reviews, and all that kind of good stuff. So if you're not already in our Discord, make sure you go ahead and join our Discord today. For any of our amazing merch, go to storefrontier.com/Wrestling Review Society and get all of our merch over there. We have shirts, hoodies, long sleeves, short sleeves, whatever you may need. And there we go. We have everybody sharing the channel commands. If you're not watching on our Twitch channel, I would strongly suggest you switch over to Twitch. It's where you can find all these clickable links to join everything that I'm talking to you guys about. If there's anything that you would like to get your hands on or anything you want to take a closer look at. A huge shout out to our moderators, Face Dustin, David Copy, Zach Monstar. Like I said, guys, we are live on twitch.tv/YoKevin, and we are live on Wrestling Review Society's YouTube page. We will return to Real Pro Wrestling next week. Real Pro Wrestling's YouTube page next week. Just had a few minor complications and was not able to stream there today. And like I said, guys, we're just going to wait a few moments for Zach to, or not Zach, but for Logan to rejoin the chat. Zach Monstar is an amazing dude. I absolutely agree. Guys, if you were not a part of our Twitch stream a few nights ago, we announced some major matches to include Zach Monstar versus Redbeard Eric Rowan. He will also be facing TikTok's favorite wrestler, Willie Finesse. He'll be facing Crazy Steve of Impact and ROH. And then another blockbuster announcement that's not my announcement to give away, but I'm sure if you ask Zach, he'll tell you. Normally when people stream on their phone, Ashlock, it runs into a few issues. I believe Logan just messaged me now. What is that? Okay, he's going to use somebody else's phone and he's jumping on now. No worries. Plugging sponsors. Guys, this is the best thing and worst thing about using technology. It works when it wants to, and it doesn't work when it doesn't want to. We all saw my mishap last week when my camera froze up. I love using this platform because it allows me to interview people without having to be in the same room with them. But at the same time, Kev, tell the kids in the circle. Are you telling me about that other match or what's up? But anyway, it gives us the chance to interview people who are not physically here in front of me, but at the same time, When technology wants to take a shit, it takes a shit. Okay, so Zach has given me the green light, guys. In the month of September, Zach Monstar will be facing none other than Tommy End, aka Aleister Black, formerly Aleister Black, recently released from WWE. Aleister Black will be debuting in Real Pro Wrestling to take on one Zach Monstar. All of that is going to stream live on our Twitch. So if you are not on our Twitch channel, hashtag switch to Twitch, twitch.tv/HeelKevin, hashtag switch to Twitch. All of those matches, Redbeard, Crazy Steve, Willie Finesse, Tommy End, and so many more will stream live on my Twitch channel. So if you want to see how those matches play out and you want to get a front row seat for all of those matches in your very own living room, all you got to do is follow twitch.tv/HeelKevin. Yes, it's going to be absolutely amazing for sure. Tommy fucking End, absolutely. Madhouse, congrats. The moniker "you're not gonna outwork me." I mean, it's true. Zach lives it each and every day. Zach lives it each and every single day. I'm not gonna say there's people who don't work as hard, but there's nobody that works harder. Not even me. I don't work harder than Zach. Johnny Rudo doesn't work harder than Zach. Logan doesn't work hard. Zach is the hardest working, most grinded motherfucker I've ever met in my life. There's people who work just as hard, but rarely anybody who works harder. So Logan is just trying to get back into the studio now. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and let those roll. We are going to get into a few other things before we wrap up the show. And it looks like Logan is back.
Whew.
Logan, what's up?
Hey, sorry, my phone just exploded, so now I'm in better quality because I just stole someone's iPhone.
Yeah, your phone is, or the camera is in much better quality.
And I still can't turn it sideways. Yeah.
No, it just worked. Turn it sideways. There you go. See what happens when you have technology, Logan.
Yeah, I know. I need a better phone.
But I was asking you earlier. Not intimidation from Bud Heavy, but just from the hardcore match and everything that goes into a hardcore match. Did this match intimidate you at all, as far as, everything that's expected with a hardcore match?
No, not really. I was ready for it. I knew that I was going to be walking away from it bloody and, all torn up. And it's something that's I've been wanting to do for a little while now. And if I was going to do it anywhere, it was going to be Real Pro. So but I also think that was a little bit of ignorance. I didn't think I knew it was going to be quite that much. So I wasn't intimidated because I had this preconceived notion of what it was actually going to be like. And then it was something totally different. So what I had built in my head, I was ready for. If I had known how it was actually going to be, probably a little bit.
So you say if you were going to do it, it would have happened in Real Pro. I have to ask, what makes Real Pro so special that you feel that comfortable to do it there? Like why Real Pro over anything else?
Because they put stock in us. And if I'm going to put my body on the line, if I'm going to do something as intense as a hardcore match, it's going to be for people who have, done so much for us and have, risked their necks when we weren't known to bring us on. It's really about repaying them. And also it's a spiritual home for hardcore. Some of the craziest hardcore matches I've seen came from Real Pro. When we were in the tag tournament, I think it was Bud Heavy versus Zach Monstar in the main event. And that was one of the first hardcore matches I had ever seen live. So, to bring that full circle, I think Real Pro had to be the place to do it.
So I completely agree. I've been in a few locker rooms. I've been around a few independent wrestling promotions. And there's just a different feeling about Real Pro, which is why I wanted to be so hands-on with it, which is why I love the fact that Zach brought me in and has allowed me to bring what I bring to the table to Real Pro Wrestling. And it's just an honor to be a part of it. So I definitely agree with what you're saying. But talking about the hardcore match, we had a question come in earlier that everybody has been dying for me to ask. So let's go and throw this up there now. Question from Zach Monstar himself. Logan, would you ever work me in the hardcore element?
Absolutely, I would. Are you kidding me? I think now that I've got one under my belt, Man, I think because Zach Monstar is the king of hardcore, and I don't want to walk into a fight that.
Oh, he's the wood chipper.
Yeah. I would absolutely do it, but I gotta train a little bit to give him a run for his money. I'm booking alcohol. Bring it on, Zachy. Give you the best promo of your life.
You know, I've made a living off of talking shit to Zach on this channel, so you're fitting in just nicely. But Logan, we have a reoccurring segment here on the War Room, and I like to call it the Insta Game. Basically, what I do is I take a deep dive look at your Instagram page. I grab a few pictures that I think are interesting or might need a little backstory to it. I throw them up on the screen, and I get the backstory behind the photo. Are you down for that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I found 3 that really, really stood out to me that I just thought were hilarious, and we're gonna go in order. So this one seems pretty self-explanatory, but Logan, like why? Like why?
You've never wanted to be cradled by a beautiful stone woman? I don't. Who are you?
No, like where is this statue at? And was it built like this, or did somebody break it?
It was built like that. That's actually in a little park in Orlando. That was taken right after I went and actually got a. I'm going to do a little bit of humble bragging here. Right after I went and got my COVID test because I was doing extra work for WWE. So we went and hung out at the park for a little bit after that. Spent the day in Orlando. But
that's where the handsome stone came from.
That's my mother. All right.
Well, she is a beautiful woman.
Thank you. Yeah, very, very smooth hands, surprisingly.
So we're gonna go to a picture that looks like you may have been enjoying yourself just a little too much. Logan, what happened here?
I don't remember. I don't know.
I would imagine you don't. But Bud Heavy's name is on this.
Yeah. That was that. Okay, so that's us promoting the tag match that we were having against New Horizon at Bud Heavy's Backyard Dirty 30 show. But I think I was obliterated in that picture. I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I remember finding that on my phone the next day and being like, where the fuck did this come from? I party. I tend to party. So
Logan, we're having a drink together one day, okay?
Oh hell yeah.
We're having a drink together.
Hell yeah.
But anyway, this brings me to by far the funniest picture on your Instagram, and I think you already know what it's going to be. Logan, what the hell is this?
Well, it's because.
And whose idea was it?
Oh, that was probably me at 3:00 in the morning. Making that. The future is seen with Cruz vision, brother. So get on board now.
Zach Monstar says that's a damn t-shirt.
Oh, it has to be. Yeah. Can you put it back up? I think the slug is hidden in there somewhere too.
Oh no, yeah, it's definitely in there.
Oh
it's
yeah, there he is.
Right there.
That's Slugatelli. That's my alter ego.
So Logan, just by looking at these 3 photos, now I've seen your work in the ring. We haven't had the chance to really hang out outside of wrestling, which I hope we do one day, because I think we're gonna have a great time. But you really seem to be, the work hard, play hard kind of mindset. How important is it to have that balance to push yourself, but at the same time reward yourself?
Oh, yeah, no. If you were to just do this 7 days a week, just gym home, wrestle home, go to your shoot job and then not have any time in between, you would not only, I think you would lose your love for wrestling. I think you would come to resent it. I think it would come to be a 9 to 5 that that just becomes a chore. But being able to go out and have fun and, still keep that sense of humor and, some of there's a lot of guys who take it super, super seriously and that's fine. It works for them. And I think that when you're at the venue and you're in the ring, it's all business. It's all professionalism. But if you can't go and then have a good time with your friends afterwards and, go and reap the benefits of the brotherhood that is wrestling, then, I think that's a big part of your success as well, because that networking is a big part of what we do. And not only that, but having that time to recuperate and, see the more fun side of the business world it's detrimental. And it's, you can't understate the importance of that, because it's not just wrestling, it's the brotherhood. Like I said,
I think it's just as important to build that camaraderie outside of the ring as you do inside the ring.
absolutely.
And I think that's a bond where you don't get that bond just in the ring, but it's like I tell everybody all the time, what happens at the show is fun, but you ain't never had no fun until you've been at Denny's at 2 a.m. with a bunch of workers. And
Absolutely.
It's the funnest thing ever. But Madhouse Monster says, Logan, you should come down one day and train with me.
Oh, hell yeah. Or you could come to the beautiful academy out in front of which I'm standing right now, because today's a training day. But yeah, absolutely. I'd go down and train there.
So you're right outside of Jay Lethal's training academy.
Yes, I am. Yeah, this is home.
And you chose to spend your time with me instead of in there. I truly appreciate it. Piers Austin, thanks for the bit. Truly appreciate it, buddy.
Oh, no. Going back to the having fun thing. Something that Jay instilled in us was, within the first probably 2 months when we started actually getting to like the bumps and the moves, he took us all out to Applebee's and we all sat down and we just talked for a little bit. And he said, what we do in there is one thing, but if you're going to put your life in someone's hands, you need to know the person who's doing it. You need to have that trust. So it's not just about having fun. It's about, building that trust with the people that you're in there working with. And that's why you'll notice a lot of guys, when they work together for the first time, maybe they're not doing all the crazy stuff they would, but if they're, 3-4 times down the road after they've had matches, that's when they start pulling out all the big guns, and they start, because they're more comfortable with one another. So that's, for maybe for new guys that are watching, that's a big part of it too.
No, absolutely. Logan, I want to share something with you, because I've been talking to Zach now. I used to wrestle a couple years back. It's been a while. And I was recently asked what my wish list of opponents would be. And I based it basically off of the people that I've met and people that I actually have a chance of working. And you're definitely one of those guys, man. If I ever made it into a real pro wrestling ring, and it's solely out of the respect that I have for you. Like I said, I've made it no secret. I think you've got one of the best spine busters I've ever seen in my life. We talked about that for a while at the Comic-Con show. But I just want to let you know, man, I have that much respect for you, and I love what you do. I love watching you wrestle. I've never seen a Logan Cruz match or even a Wheezy T match or a Gifted match where I wasn't like, that wasn't believable. It wasn't good. It wasn't like, I've never said those about your guys' match. I could tell the respect you guys have for the business, and it's truly inspiring to watch.
Thank you. Do your viewers know how intimidating you are, like in real life? Like, do they?
How am I? I am the least intimidating person ever.
Okay, no, I remember the first time I met you when you were going around getting the information for people.
A few of them know how tall I am. A few of them know how big I actually am. I
walked in there. I was like, whose ass is this guy gonna beat? Like, who has to work this guy? And then you come up to me and you're like, yeah, what's your info? I was like, what? I was like, so you can put it on my gravestone later? Like, what are we doing? You're a big motherfucker. Like when I was not surprised when I heard that. I was surprised to learn that you weren't wrestling, but then when I found out that you had done it before, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. He looks like he would go in there and throw a motherfucker around. So
Logan, you're too kind, man. I truly appreciate that. And one day down the road, there may just be a heel Kevin versus Logan Cruz match where I'm sure I'll get knocked the hell out.
Oh no! But hey, we're squats, so I can give you the spine buster.
We're gonna have fun either way. I always like to end with this question because I feel it's very important. Logan, how long have you been wrestling?
We just went into our 3rd year of actually working shows, so 2 years total working shows, going into 3.
Okay, so being 3 years into now, I know a lot of people, whenever they get involved in pro wrestling, they say, 3 years isn't a long time, but 3 years is a good chunk of time. If you had one piece of advice to give yourself now that you didn't know when you started, what would that advice be? Something that you know now and would have been truly instrumental in shaping your career thus far. What would you go back in time and tell yourself?
don't try to be something you're not. I came into it wanting to do all the, the high flying and like everybody watches their favorite wrestlers and like, I want to do that. And I love the high flying guys, but I'm not that guy. I'm a ground and pound. I'm a down and dirty. I'm a brawler. And I think that especially in my first couple of matches, it did sort of come off as not believable and sort of distant because I was trying to be something that I wasn't.
My very first trainer told me the exact same thing. I'm not trying to cut you off.
No,
but I used to do the whole thing. Like, I love selling. Like, I love to sell shit. I love to make people believe it. And I used to do the whole where somebody would hit me with something I've been beat down. I would crawl up them. And my trainer was like, "You're 6'5". Why the fuck are you crawling up anybody? Stop that shit." I thought it looked good. I thought I was making my opponent look good. He was like, "It looks dumb. Don't ever do it again."
Yeah.
But then again, I'm 6'5". Why am I crawling up somebody who's 5'8"?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no.
But that's just being green in the business, man. But was there anything else you wanted to say? I apologize for cutting you off.
I just got attacked by a moth. I'm sorry. No, that's really it. Stay true to yourself. Find what works for you, and don't compare yourself to other people. We all move at different paces. We all are afforded different opportunities because of circumstance. And if you're looking at things like, oh, well, I've been doing this 6 months, but this guy's only been doing it 3 and he's already in the main event, you're going to drive yourself insane. And that's not what it's about. It's, we all have success and find that path different ways.
There was another question I wanted to ask you really quick. We see a lot of times in pro wrestling, a lot of people focus on, hey, I got to get this and I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do this. I got to do that. And very rarely do you find somebody who wants to get them and their opponent over, who wants to make each other look good. How important is it as a worker to walk into something and say, hey, this is about both of us, and not just get so wrapped up in what you want to do? And before you answer that question, we have a special guest joining us, Logan. Somebody would like to say hi to you. Ladies and gentlemen, a fan favorite here at twitch.tv/HeelKevin, the one and only Zach Monstar.
Hey, Zachy, how you doing?
So we doing this?
Oh, hell yeah, we doing this.
It's not the first time we've been in the ring together, right?
No, it's not. After that guy blew his kneecap out and he came and kneed me in the face. So, yeah,
that
I remember.
And what was it at Comic-Con? I kept chopping you.
Yeah, you hit me in the dick like 12 times. Yeah, that was great. My dick looked like a Vienna sausage afterwards, just bright red.
It's not my fault.
So I was really asking a question, kind of like buy time, because Zach had asked for the link. I want to ask this question to Zach while everybody's watching. Zach, as an owner of a company, how instrumental is it to your roster to have a guy like Logan who puts in the work and shows up and really applies himself?
I
No, calling my lawyer.
I gotta say, man, dude, Logan and Weezy are probably two of the hardest working individuals on the scene right now, and that says a lot because, like, I try to surround myself in like the real pro like atmosphere with nothing but hardworking people who are hungry. Like, even though their plate is empty, like they're still hungry and they still want it. And like, man, it's watching Logan from when he first came in, and it's the same thing with Weezy. Like, I'm gonna put over the team itself, but these two as individuals.
How many times have I told you they were my favorite tag team you have?
No, absolutely. And like, I won't ever fight you on that because they're mine. And in the past couple weeks, months, I've gotten really close to Weezy where like I can actually talk to him and stuff like that. But with Logan, like, I see Logan at shows and like that's the extent of it. So like watching Logan progress from like when he first came in and just like plain black tights where he was like with Boone the Gator King and he was just like, I'm the gifted. And I was like, yeah, you gifted, all right. You need a helmet.
You window licking gifted.
You something. And like to see him grow into like his own person where like he hasn't lost himself in the gimmick or in the business is absolutely phenomenal. Dude, like I wouldn't trade I wouldn't trade any big time name, or I wouldn't trade Logan for any, or Wheezy for any big time name or any fucking impact star or anybody like that, because at the end of the day, like, these are the boys who are going to help Real get to the point of where it needs to be. Like, I see myself when I look at them and I see how hard that they've worked. And he's ruined it. This is why I think he's gifted.
No,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
So much, Zach. You have no idea.
I love Logan's work, and I've told you, I think every show where we've went and got something to eat after, I said how he was one of my favorite, and The Gifted is my favorite. Guys, we do unfortunately have to wrap everything up. But Logan, before we get out of here, please let everybody know where they can find you, follow you, keep up with your career, all your ads, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So at Logan Cruz PW, letters PW on Instagram. I think Wheezy just made a Twitter for us. I think it's Logan and Wheezy. I don't do Twitter, but yeah, we're there. Yeah, super fun name we got there. Creative. At Logan Cruz on Facebook, and at The Gifted on Facebook as well. Follow Wheezy T, even though he's got like 500 more followers than I do already, so fuck him. But yeah, no, that's it. At Logan Cruz PW, that's the main one. That's where I post all my stuff. That's where I promote all my stuff. So, and if you want my personal phone number, message me directly. No fat chicks. And
oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, this has been this week's episode of The War Room with Logan Cruz. Special appearance by one Zach Monstar. What, hey, Zach?
Since we're here, I feel like I should tell Logan what he's got coming up.
What might that be?
July 17th. Besides that needs to be a damn t-shirt.
That's his next flyer.
July 17th, it'll be The Gifted with that Wheezy T fucking guy.
Yeah, okay.
Versus Booyah for the Real Pro Tag Team titles.
Woo! We going to the moon, baby.
Match.
All the belts coming to The Gifted.
Wheezy, did you hear that last part?
No, what do you say?
In a ladder match.
In a ladder match? Oh, don't you know that's how we won our first ever championships?
Well,
Please.
I figured we set the scale for you guys like a little bit higher. Like Wheezy just got beat up by a girl. Sean has a short arm, so like he can't really reach. But like you need to understand, like RJ's willing to die for those titles.
I'm willing to kill a man, so that works out fine. So
love it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in for this episode of The War Room. Once again, a huge shout out to our sponsors at A-Rock Design, storefrontier.com/Wrestling Review Society, Raise Energy, and everywhere else you guys find us. Also, guys, if you're watching on our YouTube channel, make sure you switch to our Twitch channel for Twitch exclusive content and Twitch exclusive giveaways. By the way, guys, we hit a level 5 hype train Friday when we stream SmackDown tomorrow. I'm getting pepper sprayed in the face at the end of the episode. So you're definitely going to want to tune in for that. And if we go past the level 5 hype train, I'll eat the little nitro as I get pepper sprayed. Just saying. You're going to want to be there. Logan, Zach, if you guys can hang out for just one more second after the live feed ends, I would truly appreciate it. Guys, once again, we'll be back tomorrow for our SmackDown and AEW watch long only on twitch.tv/HillKevin. And we'll be back this coming Thursday with another pro wrestling interview. And this one, guys, you are not going to want to miss. An AML superstar joins the chat this coming Thursday. You're definitely going to be here for it. Thank you guys so much. And I will see you guys next week. From myself, from Logan, from Zach, see you at the next one.
Again.